Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cynthia Linux Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linux. Today, we're going to be sharing another episode of Vintage Charm at 60 Plus. Remember, we have a date every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time here on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And if you cannot meet us here for our date, you can always stream this show 24/7, again, on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Now, my Facebook page, my profile is under Cynthia Linux. My business page is the Cynthia Linux Show. And again, you'll be able to view this program on either stream, or you can go to YouTube and look for the Cynthia Linux Show, and you'll find it the same as LinkedIn. So anyway, and if you want to go to my website, just go to cynthialinux.com and shoot me an email. Scroll all the way to the bottom, and there's a place where you can send me an email. As a matter of fact, I want to thank those of you that have DM'd me and also sent me emails, with some feedback and thanking me for this program. I thank you for tuning in, because if you take the time to join me, then we are having this kind of energy that we are exchanging, and I do appreciate that. I don't take it for granted because, again, it is your time and you are choosing to spend this time with me. So thank you for that. As we embrace this season of vintage charm at 60 plus, what I have learned is that we have to really show up a little differently. We have to show up with confidence. We have to show up with boldness. We have to show up, with with assertiveness, knowing who we are and making sure that we have boundaries and that we get the respect that we deserve. And so, in order to do that, we really have to master this thing called self confidence. And what I have learned is that self confidence is not something we are born with at all. Now, as a matter of fact, sometimes, our kids, we instill fear in them. Don't do that because you're going to kill yourself, or whatever. Oh no, she's shy, or oh no, he's an introvert, and so forth. And then we were given all these labels, and you grow into that, to be shy, to be an introvert, to be quiet, and so forth, and just afraid of everything. And we don't really get to develop that sense of confidence. So and that can carry into our adult life, even in relationships. Sometimes we're not confident enough, and like I say now, confidence is the new sexy. So it's a whole totally different mindset, but we have to know it. We have to embrace it. We have to embody it. So what I have done, I went back to figure out, when was that defining moment that uh, I experienced, where I overcame a fearful situation that helped my confidence grow and so forth. And I went back and started thinking in different situations as I was growing up. I want you to do the same, because when you think of something that you may have experienced, or a situation you may have been in, or some kind of circumstance in your life where you had to deal with it, make decisions, overcome that element of fear, or address the situation, and then after that you felt confident. You felt like, oh wow, I can do this, because that's what happens. With every hurdle that you overcome, it gives you an element of confidence. So think about something. I'm going to give you a minute, because I'm thinking about something, and I'm going to share it while you think, but I want you to listen to me as well. I remember I was in the seventh grade, and this was at St. Joseph's School. St. Joseph's School, was a very prestigious school. Was everybody that went there, you are expected to have a certain conduct, behavior, and so forth. So you just had to, be in sync with that. but her name was Beverly. Beverly was the bully. She was the bully of the school. Everybody was afraid of Beverly, including me. But she never really used to really bother me for some reason, but she, at least not overtly, she would do all these little subtle things that would be annoying. And one of the things that she did, because my dad, he owned a dry cleaning business. So our uniform, we were able to, I wore a blouse, clean blouse every day, and it was pressed to the T. They put that starch in it, not the starch that you spray on, but the starch that you boil and you whatever, and you put it, and it was like starchy. And I just wore my uniform with such pride. And what Beverly would do, she would, there's this candy they sell at the school and so forth. You could buy it during recess, and she would get her hand all messed up, and she would say, "Hi, hola, boy," and she would just dirty my blouse. She would soil my blouse. So she did that a few times, and gosh, I was so afraid to address it because didn't want to. I didn't want any kind of confrontation with her. But after a while, I reached that boiling point of enough. If you see in your life, sometimes you reach that point and there's no stopping. And I said to her, I said, you know what? I said, I noticed that every time you have that candy, because what she's doing is pretending to say, you know, hi, hello, hi, Cynthia, whatever. But she's actually soiling my blouse. And I said, I don't want you to touch my blouse anymore. I don't want you to touch me because your hands are dirty and you're soiling my blouse, and I don't like it. And even if it's, yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, but you change your uniform every day. She took issues with that for whatever reason. And she just thought, well, because you change it every day, it doesn't matter if it's soiled. So I told her not to do it again. And she did it again. And I didn't say anything. And she did it again. Oh, Beverly, why did you do that? And I said, you know what, Beverly, we're gonna settle this matter. I said, tomorrow after class, we're gonna meet on the terrace at the Wilcox building. The Wilcox building was right next to the school. Now, you couldn't have any kind of challenge or fight or anything on the school premise because you would be expelled and it would be a big deal. You're fighting in the uniform and so forth. So you just couldn't do that. So I said, meet me at the Wilcox building. It was like a 3-story building. And then they had a big terrace upstairs where the residents, where the tenants could go up and, I don't know, sunbathe, whatever, just chill. And I said, meet me. And none of us, I had 5 girls that were my friends and they were kind of like on my side. And she had her group of people. They were like 4 or 5 that were with her. And none of us lived in the building. So we really didn't have the right to be on the terrace. But I knew it was available. I knew that we could go up. And I said, 3 o'clock, you meet me upstairs and we're going to settle this. So we went upstairs and I took off my watch, my ring, and so forth, and we started duking it out. And, Beverly is tall, slender, and she could pack a good punch. She could really do it. And I was really kind of skeptical because I know that she likes to bust up your lips, burst your lips or hit you in the eye, and you wind up with a swollen eye and or split lip and something. And I just did not want that at all. So that's one of the reasons that I did not want to challenge her. But anyway, I did, and we went up there and we started duking it out. And at some point, oh, I guess, and I don't know where that strength came from. I guess I was so angry, just the fact that I had to go through that because, you know. So, and I gave her one good one. I mean, it was a good one, and she just kind of stumbled back. She didn't, kind of stumbled back, and her folks kind of held her. She didn't like go down on the ground or anything, but they kind of held her. She kind of, and then she got up and she said, "Well, I guess you've proven your point." What she was doing is waving a white flag. She was saying like, "That's enough. We're done." Gosh, I was so happy. I was so happy. Now, I did not walk away thinking that I won because it wasn't a matter of winning a fight. The point was I had the courage to challenge Beverly. I'm telling you. And when the word got around, fortunately, it didn't get around to the nuns or anything, because had that been the case, we would have had to give an account. But it got around in the school where well, Cynthia challenged Beverly, and how they said that I beat her up, but it really wasn't that. It's just that she kind of stumbled down, and by the time she got up, she didn't want to go on any further. And so, but that incident, that's my story. That incident gave me a sense of firm steps. I mean, I felt so confident. I felt so confident by the time I went back to school the next day. I mean, I was stepping confident. And not only that, my friends, those that went with me, they had a different, they had a different step, because they knew that in their minds, Beverly was defeated. In my mind, I was just happy that she didn't, you know, give me a black eye, or swollen lip or something like that. But the fact that she said, "Okay, we are done," I was ecstatic. I was just so good. And do you know that few months later, not few months, weeks later, we became friends. We became friends. She just thought I was the coolest thing. She just thought, because I wasn't a bully, but she just knew that she couldn't bully me. And she stopped bullying anyway, because by then the word had gotten around that, Cynthia beat up Beverly. And again, that was not the case. It's just that that's how they perceived it, simply because she called a halt to this engagement, this physical engagement, this physical fight. And that, my friend, that's my story for, that was the moment, the defining moment in life that I can recall. I had some stuff when I was younger, but that moment, the fact that I called it and I said no more, it gave me a sense of confidence to just, you know, to just step stronger, knowing, believing in my ability. That's the whole thing. Confidence allows you to believe in your ability to get things done, to fend for yourself, to work things out, to make the right decisions, to not second guess yourself, to show up knowing that if you show up at a place where they don't know you, you just assume that it's going to be fine. You're going to like them, they're going to like you, and you're not shy or hesitant or afraid to introduce yourself and so forth. And uh and that was helpful. That incident was helpful. Another thing, when we talk about confidence allows us to be resilient. And how do we do that? There's so many things that happens in life. And as I shared before, things happen by default. That's just natural occurrences of life. No matter how positive or optimistic we are, things just happen. But confidence, because it allows us to trust our abilities, it it gives us the certainty that we can um, overcome whatever setbacks we have. And sometimes we have setbacks as a um, form of illness or death, or just different situations. And when we have to face it, it allows us the opportunity to bounce back. I mean, one of the deepest thing that has happened in my life is when my mom passed. We had, and I'm sure you've had some situations. I want you to, as we go along, I want you to think of your situations, a situation where you have had to be resilient, so that whatever situation you are in now, whether you're working or you're single mom, divorced, separated, whatever, widowed, you've had to deal with situations, your kids, your spouse, whatever, which has, you've had to bounce back from situations that's happened in your life. So think of that and what you did to overcome and the strength you had to bounce back from those setbacks. When you think of that and think of what you had to do and what you had to experience and how the options you made to go through those experiences, if you think of it, it'll boost your confidence. Really, it will boost your confidence. You don't sometimes you don't think of it, and we just like you got to do what you got to do, but you've had to make decisions that in some cases were tough decisions. So it's like when my mom passed, when she was, when my mom, she's in New York, I'm here, and we had some fantastic time, just to just to share with you the kind of relationship we had. I would call her like 3 times a day. And I would be like, corazón de melón. And, corazón de melón is like my melon heart. It doesn't really have the same flavor as it does in Spanish, but I would say corazón de melón. And we would just laugh on the phone and we would have such a great time. That's why I have such cherished memories of my mom. And one time it was close to her birthday, and it was like on a Friday, and her birthday was going to be like the next day or something like that. So I made reservations at this hotel. No, not well. It's a restaurant on the Twin Tower, in New York City, the Twin Towers that came down. Okay, in the 60th floor, there was this Italian restaurant, and I made reservations to take my mom there to celebrate her birthday. I'm in Dallas, she's in New York. So one of my friends went with me. And so I called her once I arrived, in New York City, the plane, whatever. We took a taxi, went to her house, and I'm talking to her, and I'm like, Mom, it's gonna be your birthday, and what would you like to do? And she's like, oh, it would be so nice if you were here, we could do something and whatever. And I'm like, I'm talking with her, and I'm like, oh gosh, I wish I was there. And then I rang the doorbell. She's on the phone with me, and she said, somebody's ringing my bell. I have no idea who it is. And I said, well, I'll stay on the line. She says, well, hang on for a second. And I'm like, can you check through they have these peephole in New York, how those places, they have these peepholes. I said, can you check the peephole to see who it is before you open? She said, no, it's fine, because it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. And she opened the door, and I'm like, Mom, who is it? Is it, of course, I'm saying, Mom, who's at your door? And she is standing there looking at me outside, myself and my friend. And I'm saying, like, Mom, who is it? Who's at your door? And she's looking at me. It took her a minute to process the whole fact that she's on the phone with me, and she opened the door. I'm standing outside, and I'm saying, Mom, who's at the door? Oh, that was just a glorious moment. So the next day we went to dinner at this on the 60th floor in the Twin Tower at this Italian restaurant. And I had told the manager, I said, I'm bringing my mom there. There's going to be 4 of us, my mom, my aunt, my friend, and myself. And I bought a cake. Well, I asked him to have a cake for her and to write on it, Corazón de Melón, I love you. My little melon heart, I love you. And they had that, and it was just great and so forth. My point is, we imagine that type of relationship. It was deep. So when my mom passed, I was void of that was like a big deal for me. I mean, I could have taken myself in a low place, because again, we talked like 3 times a day, and she was no longer there. And I had to make some moves to settle the situation, to get her put away, buried, and so forth. And then I came back, and I was just void. I was just void of that warmth, that security, that pleasure of chatting with her. And I had to bounce back, because that emotionally, that was a major setback. And I had to tell myself, Cynthia, you can do it. I remember when I came back, I took a couple more days off, and then I went to my office, and one of the senior managers, asked me about it, how did it go, and whatever, and expressing condolence. And I got emotional. and they said, you think you came back a little too soon? And I was like, well, no, I'm good. I just give me a minute. And I just had to really, get a hold of myself and really, bounce back. So that sense of I knew that I would have been able to bounce back from that that weight of sadness because of the loss of my mom. But I bounced back. You may have had a similar situation, or you may have had a situation with, I don't know, health, or a loved one, or your kids, or whatever. Family overseas, you over here, family in another state, you here. There's just so many things that there's just so many situations that we face that we need confidence to forge ahead. And you already have it. You just have to dig and start, finding those stories where you have had to be strong. Sometimes strong for everyone. Something happens in the family and you are the strong one. Everybody looks to you. They're looking to see how you're going to react, and they respond accordingly. And yeah, so we need to rewind. We need to go in that mental drawer and pull out all those elements of strength and determination and self-preservation, and knowing that we can do it. And in this season, we look, we are ready to show up. We just have to know. And what I'm doing is just refreshing your mind so that you can go back and think of those times where you overcame those hurdles, whatever it was. They were your hurdles, and you overcame those hurdles, and really got back on your feet and started all over again. So we already have it. We already have that. We have already mastered that self confidence. I am just bringing it to light because sometimes we don't think about it. We think we need it. We have to get it. You already possess it. You already have it. You do it every day. Every day you get up, you either go to work or you do something, or we just need to be, conscious of it, that we already have it. And we can forge ahead knowing that we can show up with assertiveness and confidence. It's good for our relationships as well. It helps our relationships. A lot of things that we do has to do with relationships with our kids, relationships with our spouse or partner, or friends, relatives, employers, people around. Confidence helps us, gives us the courage to set boundaries, to make sure that people understand that here, respect is, it's not even, respect happens. It's not even like respect is demanded. No, we don't demand it. It just happens. Why? Because you respect others and you expect the same. One situation that happened, and I'm going to share this with you, having to do with positive relationships, keeping positive relationships, and how it takes courage as well to keep those relationships, you know, nurtured and strengthening and so forth. Years ago, when I was going through, and I want you, again, I want you to think of a situation of a relationship, whether it's your kid, whether it's with your child, your male child, your daughter, your spouse, your partner, a relative, even your mom or your dad. Sometimes we have situations with the people close to us that we can't really, that sometimes need attention. It could be a leader in your life or something of that sort. And so anyway, years ago, when I embarked on this journey of self-discovery, it was just the best thing I've ever done, because it's all for me. And what I did was really remove the identity imposed upon me by society, and really evolve into my true authentic self. And now I can just be me. I don't have to try to do or pretend or try to please people. No, I am just me. So I'm going through my journey of self discovery, and we are in a group, and I am sharing, some a topic came up, and we were sharing, and my view was totally like way out there compared to how I used to think. I had limiting beliefs and just really thinking in a box and just like this narrow mindedness and not really an open mind and not really giving myself to critical thinking skills. I really just never did that. I just so we were talking, and I said something, and they're like, what? And there was like a big wave of judgment and criticism and so forth. And for me it was natural because again I was going through an evolution that happens when you are on that journey of self-discovery. And so I repeated and I said, and they're like, what? And this person was, I felt offended and so forth. So we changed the topic and went on to something else, had a great evening and so forth. But I felt it's like my heart, my on the inside, I felt wounded. I felt wow. And I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna be able to deal with that person as I have. And this person was like a very close friend that I absolutely appreciate and love, and we have such a good relationship. So I got home and I text and I said, hey, are you available tomorrow? Let's have dinner at so and so. And they said, oh yeah, sure, no problem. So we met the next day at this place, and we had a salad, we had a glass of wine, we even had dessert, and they had no idea what I was going to share. So during dessert, I said, I brought it up, and I said, the conversation we had yesterday, and I brought the whole thing, and I said I shared with them how much I appreciated them, and but I also made clear that if our relationship is going to continue, there's going to have to be respect and acceptance. You have to recognize and accept that my views have changed, and that's it. I am not asking for you to understand. I'm just saying there has to be respect. And I made it so crystal clear. But the thing is, this person had no idea that I was offended by that reaction. They had no idea that I was offended, but I was, because it was like, wow, because one of the things that happens when you're going through self discovery, if you're not like firm in what you know, again, not what you believe, but what you know, because what you believe is somebody else's knowledge that they impose upon you, and you take it. You're like, oh, I believe that. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, I believe that. I believe you're not sure. That's why I study and I meditate to acquire knowledge that's mine. So when I make a decision, I'm confident. I am confident when I make a decision. And even if that decision wasn't the perfect decision, I'm still confident because what I do know is that I have the ability to turn it around. I can always pivot. I can change. I can do a 360 and change my mind because I keep an open mind and I embrace new stuff. I don't go like, I believe this, I believe that. No, I don't want to believe because, again, everything that you believe is somebody else's truth, is somebody else's opinion, is somebody else's assumption. Pay attention and be honest with yourself. Everything that you believe, it doesn't come from you, it's somebody else's something. And even if you try to repackage it, it still doesn't come from you. When you discover truth, you live a life of, you're confident, you're self-assured, and it may sound out there, but hey, look, if it's working for you, then it's true. It's your truth. So anyway, we settled that matter, and today we are closer than we have ever been. But I had the confidence. If I didn't have the confidence to say, to summon my friend to dinner the next day so that we could resolve this issue, and me share how it affected me, and also make it clear that if you don't respect my process of evolution, of changing, of discovering my authentic self, then that's going to really put a strain in our relationship, because I was not going to allow myself to get into a stressful situation where I would think, well, I don't want to be around this person, or I didn't want that, because I don't anything that has to do with stress, you want to keep that at bay. Anything that has to do with and all that has to do with self-care, my friend. Think about it. Just go back and think of those uh situations. It could have been a relationship that you were in, and the relationship wasn't going the way you expected or the way that you want. And sometimes it takes courage, it takes confidence to be able to confront someone and say, this is not working out, and make a decision to depart, to walk away from it. You have to be confident that you're going to meet someone that is worthy of you. Why? Because you know your worth, and you will recognize it when that happens. You have to be confident. For those of you that are out there that are single, divorced, separated, widow, whatever, I had a friend that said to me, I would just love to have someone that would that I could go out to dinner with, and go to the movies and spend time with, and so forth. If that's what you want, then, amigos, you have to be confident to know that you can have it. Why? Because you deserve it. Why do you deserve it? Because you want it. Why do you want it? Because it's in you. That's a desire of your heart. You deserve it. If you want it, you deserve it. But until it's not going to happen, it's not going to come your way, because if you are hesitant and you procrastinate and you wonder and you think and you doubt, all of that, that's not aligning with what your deep desires are. You deserve it. Like my dad said to me, you deserve to be happy. My dad told me that. You deserve to be happy. And I took that to heart. He's like, oh, yeah. He said, you deserve it. So I am saying the same to you. If you have that desire in your heart, and this whole thing about there are not too many men out there, or there are not too many good women out there, I heard from both sides. How many do you want? You only need one, just one partner that you can give your love and affection and your time and your gifts and talent and your love to. Just one person. And you have to know, not think, believe, maybe, no, you have to know that that person is there waiting to discover you. You have to know that. So whether it's a partner, or whether it's a business, or whether it's a desire to travel, to just do some adventurous things in life, and just things that are innovative and new, you have to know that you have the confidence to do it, to draw it in, to bring it into reality, because you can, my friend. You can. So as you begin to uh, backtrack, and try to discover those defining moments where you had to exercise confidence to make decisions, you're going to discover that what you learned then are things that you can apply now, because you'll remember how it felt, just like I remember how it felt for whacking Beverly out. I remember how it felt. I remember how I felt the next day. I was like, I went to school, and I felt so confident because, first of all, I knew that she wasn't going to soil my blouse anymore. And I knew that I had achieved a level of respect in that whole circle. I knew that. I knew that. And so I bring it now into my life. Corporate America has been great to me. I'm telling you, I had a I had a job that really was demanding and required a sense of um, assertiveness. It's in the airline industry, and I in the operation, especially when there's OSO, off schedule operation, and there's cancellations due to whatever, mechanical, weather, whatever. And when you get a top tier platinum passenger that believes they own everything, and they're screaming at your employees and so forth, and when they say, you get me a manager, you get me the top manager, so they would call me, and I would walk out, and before I arrived, they had already simmered down when they saw me coming. They knew, they sensed that energy. Now, I always try to be courteous, kind to people, and I would show up and hear what my employee would have to say, and then hear what the passenger would have to say. And I had to be in a situation to make a decision that would be good for the passenger, good for the organization, and to make sure that he was not rude, offensive, or insulting to my employee, to the agent. I had to make sure of that, and I did. They liked calling me because they knew that um, I would give them the honor of respect. And in a lot of situations, yeah, they knew it. I had one situation that was just really crazy. This passenger could not get an upgrade, and is just furious. Top tier passenger, and he calls my agent an offensive word. bitch, and so the agent called me, and I went out there. And once I knew that, I said, "Sir, you will not board this flight." It was that simple. You will not board this flight. And of course, here I am. I'm a female and black. I'm mindful of that. How dare me make that decision to him? And yeah, he did not board the flight. I said, I'll put you in the Admirals Club and you'll go on the next flight. You will not board this flight. And so I gained the respect of the agents, and the passenger recognized his uh, his foe after. He recognized that he was disrespectful, and yeah, put him up in the Admirals Club. You go in there and sit and have a drink, whatever. You wait another couple hours for the next flight, and so forth. So I really got a lot of opportunities to strengthen my confidence, because before I show up, there was an energy. They knew that the buck stops here, and if they wanted to submit further complaints, then you're going to have to write to consumer relations, and that's just a whole different story. That's the last place that you write, because as far as in the operation, the buck stops right here. And I loved it. I loved it because it really strengthened my sense of confidence. To look people in the eye and to communicate truth to them with confidence and assertiveness, and they would know that, again, the buck stops here, and that applies to everyone, even in my life. No is a complete sentence. So when you're not happy with something, or when something is going on, whatever, you say no, and you make sure that, but you always mix kindness with it. You don't want to be rude, you don't want to be, offensive. No, you always want to be kind to someone. So that's the whole thing with mastering your confidence. Go back and do some inventory and pluck out the situations when you had the courage to leave that relationship, or when you had the courage to pull your child out of this school, or when you had the courage to discipline your child in a way that you that you saw fit. When you had the courage to say to your mom, depending on the relationship you had, to say, no, mom, I'm not doing that. My husband and I made this decision. Make sure that no one is interfering in your relationship. You have to have the courage and the confidence to do that. And you have to know that you have it. So go back into those drawers, whether it's adolescent, adult, or when you were in grade school, and just pick out those experiences and think about how it made you feel when you had to make those decisions. And with that, we conclude our mastering self confidence. Just know that you have it. It's within you. You already have it. It's not something that you're going for. You are it. You just have to be mindful of it and start practicing. Go to the store, and do something. I was shopping the other day in the store, and I bought some grapes. It was on sale. It says 188 a pound, and I bought, like, I don't know, 3 4 pounds, and it rang it up at 198. I usually check my receipt. That's just what I do. And it rang it up at 198. So I called the guy and I said, wait a minute. I said, this is 188. And he said, well, they haven't set the machine and the machine, whatever. I said, well, I don't really care about your machine. The sign says 188 and the machine charged me 198. I said, I just need you to do whatever you need to do to give me the difference, because I'm taking the grapes. Either you give it to me free, or you adjust the price so that I can pay, because it already charged me and I already had paid for it. And I said, get somebody that can do this. I said, I know how all this works. You can override it, cancel this, do a, return, and run it through again at 188. It's not the money, my friend. It's the principle. Because if all those people that are buying grapes for 188, thinking it's 188, but the machine is charging them 198, they're getting off with murder, getting all, yeah. So it's just those little things. So practice, but know that it's who you are. It's not something that you're going to acquire. It is who you are and is what you are made of. You already have all the elements that's needed to live with the confidence that you need to, during this season, to show up with a level of confidence that's going to really make you really embrace the room and just really have a wonderful experience wherever it is that you go. And with that, my friends, I am going to see you next week, next Thursday at 2 p.m. I trust that you have enjoyed this segment as much as I have enjoyed sharing with you. And again, we will see each other next week, same time, same channel, YouTube or LinkedIn. Hasta luego. Au revoir. Ciao. Bye bye. Ta-ta. See you later.